Good morning. This is the 51st video in this series. It'll be a playlist called State of the School. The school is Frank School, Camp Ranch campus. But I'm going all over the world right now because what I'm doing in this overarching subject for the present is I'm talking about my travels. But not just to, it's beginning to seem a little bit like a long list of all the places I've been. Great, Frank. That's not my purpose. Uh, I, I could have done without some of that, certainly. But the travels I'm talking about now, they apply to me as a teacher. I learned stuff while I traveled, always. And I've applied that to what I teach. Sometimes I feel like I should justify what I'm doing right now. But I would understand if you would say, oh, well, I don't want to hear about it. Anyway, when we were in Peace Corps, Joyce and I were there for a third year, and between the second and third year, we had a chance to come home. And we had a trip, Peace Corps paid for it, I think it was from Recife to Rio to Boston and then back. And we changed the route. We could use the same ticket, but we changed the route to include Africa, just the tip of Africa, and Europe. And that was an amazing trip. And we had about a month total. I think we had close to a month time, but we needed to get home and get back. We weren't on our tour maybe a week. But anyway, we flew from Recife, you'd say, to Rio, from Rio to Dakar. Now that's the second time I was in Dakar, but this time I was with my wife, Joyce, and from there we went to Morocco, and for a second time I visited my friend Abdeltif Sekat, and stayed with him, and he took us to visit relatives in Fez, and then. And then flew to Portugal, my second time in Portugal. Now I spoke Portuguese, we did. And once again, I loved it. And Portugal, you'll find, is all over the place in my experience. I'll just tell you quickly. We rented a car, drove north in Portugal, came back to Lisbon, and then headed for the Alps. We went to Geneva, and flew into Geneva, skipped right across Spain, rented a car in Geneva, and drove that car up through into the Alps, basically across, up past the Rhone Glacier, down into Zurich, where we turned the car in. We then took a train and went on to Austria, Innsbruck, Austria. This was a truly amazing trip. By now, I had what I recall formative days, 2 or 3 in Peru, 1 or 2 in Portugal, and then Switzerland. And I talk about them different times. From Innsbruck, we took the bus, I think, or train bus, I think, to Munich. We're there just very briefly. Flew to London, visited there with some friends of, a friend of Joyce from college days, and then back to Boston. And then spent time with our family, and then flying back was a bit of an adventure too, in that we stopped in all these little countries along, like British Guiana, Suriname, along the coast, the northeastern coast of South America. But it was just stops one after the other to get to Recife and then back to Catala de Rocha. It was really, truly an amazing trip. And the one other one I want to mention now, because I'm just kind of listing these right now, is after the third year, when we came home, it seemed like, we wintered over in a lake shore cabin that belonged to Joyce's mother. We winterized it and stayed there that winter. Uh, and I thought our traveling was going to be over. Uh, but no, an opportunity came up to travel to Venezuela. Technically, we worked for the UN. Uh, I can't remember the agency, but it was an attempt to do there what we had done in Brazil. We were only there for half a year. This is on the island of Margarita, you might say Margarita, in Venezuela. It was an island in the Caribbean. It was a failure, I mean, as a project. We did write a book in Spanish about the crafts, the crafts that were on that island. And I think Joyce may still have a copy. There were only two copies made. One we left in Venezuela, and we kept a copy in Spanish with a lot of photographs. So we documented the trades or the crafts at the time. But then we had to come home early, and it was the funding ran out. It was really kind of a bad time. Although both our mothers-in-law together went down to visit us. And after that, back in New Hampshire now, there's a pause in my travel of about almost 20 years. It's not quite 20 years, it's like 15 years before I traveled again. Bye for now.